And ladies and gentlemen, may I invite on stage eminent panelists for the session. Mr. Rajesh Prasad, Director Operations, Rail Vikas Nigam Limited. A very warm welcome. Inviting Mr. Ashish Singh, Vice President, Business Development and Marketing, KEC International. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Inviting Mr. Siddharth Jha, Head Rail India, WSP Global. A warm welcome to you, sir. Inviting Ms. Harshita Jain, Director, CEG Limited, and also inviting Mr. Anil Vij, Director, Technical Rights Limited. So, ladies and gentlemen, the topic for the panel discussion is on implementation in major urban infra projects in India, challenges and solutions. And the session will be moderated by Ms. Harshita Jain, Director, Consulting Engineers Group Limited. This session, ladies and gentlemen, is supported by Consulting Engineers Limited, CEG, which provides infrastructure consulting services for highways, bridges, rail, metro, tunnels, buildings, water resources, urban development, and geotechnical investigation services. And ladies and gentlemen, I now hand over to Ms. Harshita Jain to kindly carry forward the proceedings of the panel discussion on implementation in major urban infra projects, India, challenges and solutions. And the time duration for this session, ma'am, is about 45 minutes. Over to you.
Today, we are all gathered here to discuss the implementation of major urban infrastructure projects in India, the challenges and solutions. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our esteemed panel. Firstly, we have Mr. Rajesh Prasad, Director Operations, RVNL, an officer of 1988 batch IRSC, Indian Railway Service of Engineers, presently working as Director Operations in Rail Vikas Nigam Limited since March 2020. He earlier worked as Executive Director with a demonstrated history of working in the government administration industry. He possessed strong business development professional skills in the procurement, engineering, feasibility studies, project engineering, and rail transport domains. He possessed B.Tech in Civil Engineering from IIT Kanpur. Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Ashish Singh, Vice President Marketing and BD, KEC International. Mr. Ashish is presently working as Vice President with KEC International Limited since October 2018. He possesses more than 30 years of experience in various positions in railway and metro sector. He has also won and executed various big-ticket projects in the metro railway industry such as Delhi Metro, Jaipur Metro, etc. Welcome, Mr. Singh. Lastly, I would like to introduce Mr. Siddharth Jha, Head Rail India, WSP Global. Mr. Siddharth is the Head of Rail and Associate Director of WSP India. He is responsible for managing the rail business and meeting the revenue and productivity target of rail, exploring new targets and regions to do the business. He is a chartered engineer, member of the Institution of Civil Engineers, IEC UK, with over 14 years of experience in civil engineering design, project management, business management, with extensive experience of working on all project stages from preliminary design to detailed design. So welcome everyone for the session. Without any further wait, let's start our session. My first question is for Mr. Rajesh Prasad. So RVNL is having a lot of experience of PPP models in railway infrastructure projects. So what are the challenges in making such PPP models for urban infrastructure metro projects? Further, metro projects are very cost intensive. How such projects can be made more viable in the current scenario?
Okay. Very good morning to the organizers of Urban Infra Group and Harshita ji. The question basically comprises of 3-4 questions, I suppose, are questions. You were asking about RVNL, then you were asking about the experience of RVNL in the PPP model, then you said that it is very cost intensive, and then further you said that how you can make metro construction more viable. So I will take this opportunity to brief about our company RVNL. It is a 19-year-old company. This company was given Mini Ratna status in 2013. We are in the process of acquisition Navratna, and we have got plenty of experience. We have executed and commissioned more than 120 odd projects. This company has been rated excellent for the last 11 years, consecutive 11 years. And in last 9 years, 7 times it was #1 PSU under Ministry of Railways. We have got the proven track record. And it is not only the typical railway infrastructure projects, but also the PPP models. We are pioneer in the PPP models as far as the railway infrastructures are concerned. We have formed 5 number of special purpose vehicles. 4 numbers have been commissioned, and the 5th is likely to be commissioned in maybe another 1 to 2 months' time. And this typical model, this PPP model, has faced revenue to the extent of 86,000 crores for Ministry of Railways without a single paisa investments. And the equity participation by RVNL varies from 30% to 50%. We can't invest more than 50%. And the beauty of this model is that with an equity contribution of around 1100 crores, we have executed project worth 9,000 crores. The policy guidelines which was issued by Government of India was in the year 2008-9, and it was subsequently revised in 2009, and the latest policy guideline which is prevailing is December 2012 policy guidelines. But these policy guidelines are typically meant for Ministry of Railways, typical infrastructure projects. So the next question you asked whether these PPP models are possible in metro construction or not. Yes, it is very much possible, and but the experience has not been very satisfactory. The first PPP model was the Airport Express line in Delhi, which was basically implemented by DMRC along with Reliance, and there was a dispute because the project was supposed to be commissioned before the Commonwealth Games. It was commissioned in the year 2011 after Commonwealth Games. And there were some quality issues, and the line was closed in 2013 for many months, and Reliance got the opportunities to exit from this PPP model, and they went for the arbitration, and then an award was given to the extent of 4,600 crores plus interest. So that was a very bad experience, and the reasons for failure of these PPP model was because of the these were the initial phases of PPP models, and it was the first PPP model which was implemented in metro construction. So the documentation has to be very good. Whenever we are doing the PPP model, the document has to be of top class. And then the quality issue was there. See, these urban infrastructures we are constructing for more than 100 years, 120 years. So there should not be issue related to the quality. So what I wanted to say is that we must learn lessons from the PPP model which was executed in the Delhi Express, the metro corridor. Then subsequently the Hyderabad metro, again it was done through PPP model. L&T is implementing, and here they have already commissioned. But because of the slowdown of the economy and then the COVID for 2 years, the ridership was not there, and resulting losses. And we have got the metro policy 2017. This policy is very good. I don't know how many of you have gone through the metro policy 2017. And when this policy was issued, after this policy, the first metro on PPP model is the Pune metro. There we are basically the Maharashtra Metro, they are constructing around 24 kilometers of metro with 24 stations. Tata and most probably Siemens are the partners. So that particular project is taking off very well. Now the question is that how the projects are viable, how the projects are made viable. For the typical railway infrastructure projects in RVNL, what we do is we conduct the bankability studies. In the bankability studies, there are few parameters like DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. This becomes very, very important because it has to service the debt during the construction period or otherwise also. Then we see the project IRR, equity IRR, and then one of the most important aspect is that we conduct the sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis is that we assume certain parameters. Suppose we assume the construction period of 3 years, but due to some other reasons it becomes 5 years. We had taken loan from the financial institutions, say at the interest of MCLR, which is about 6.5%, but subsequently the MCLR rate goes up, and then the interest rate goes up. So there could be various scenarios, so we conduct the sensitivity analysis, and the idea behind the sensitivity analysis is that under the worst combination, the project has to be viable. Now, how to make the project more viable? The question which Harshita ji has just now asked, that how we can make the projects more viable. So if we go through the metro policy, then you will find so many things. One of the speaker, Dr. Surbi, I suppose, she was talking, and the Principal Secretary Transport, they were also talking about the last mile connectivity. And there are three things which I would like to submit here is that one is called the project appreciation benefit. What exactly is the project appreciation benefit? The moment any project is sanctioned, immediately the cost of the land, cost of the property, everything goes up. So there have been some initiatives taken by Lucknow Metro or the Bangalore Metro or even NCRTC is considering. For example, in the Lucknow Metro, what they are planning to have is that the floor area ratio, suppose it was 1.5, because of the metro construction, they are increasing it to 2.5. And whatever extra revenue is being generated, it is charged to 50-50. So there is a Metro Construction Act 1987. There is a section 21, and this Metro Construction Act was first implemented in Kolkata, and subsequently it was implemented by all the cities, all the state-owned metro authorities. And there is a section 21 where a notification is issued. So what I propose to say is that whenever such notifications are issued and whenever some properties are registered, so since the price of the property goes up by 50 to 75%, so there has to be some share of this to go for the metro because it is very cost intensive, and we have to make the project viable. So this is the project basically appreciation benefit. Then the project exploitation benefit. So whenever you are constructing metro in city, then we can have the exploitation in the station area, in the viaduct area, even in the depot area. So that exploitation, this is being done, but I personally feel that more rigorous exercise and more lenient view of the government is required to make the metro projects more viable. Third thing which I wanted to tell is the project basically impact benefit. What do you mean by project impact benefit? See, when you construct the metros in the urban environment, what exactly happens is that the carbon emission goes down. This is one of the most efficient way of transportation in the urban area. And if you compare the carbon emissions, a typical aeroplane basically emits 51 fuel equivalent grams per passenger per kilometer. But the moment we switch, we compare with the metro, it is around 12. And if you compare with the four-wheelers or the two-wheelers, then it is around 30. So there is a change of carbon emissions. So metro systems are efficient, there is a saving of time, there is a comfort which is being provided to the passengers, and at the same time there is a reduction of carbon emission. Now the COP27, these are the news items which are going on. The COP27 is happening in Egypt, and a lot of emphasis is being given to reduce the carbon reduce the carbon emissions. So what I want to say that we should factor this carbon emission because of the metro construction, and the benefit should be loaded whenever we are doing the analysis. So these are the three things which I propose and which might have been happening also, that we should have the detailed analysis on these three things, and then only we can make the projects more viable, because it is highly cost intensive, and many a times it may not be possible to basically make it through the ridership to pay back the debt, etc. So hope I have answered the queries which you have asked from me.
Thank you, sir. That was a very insightful answer. Mr. Ashish, my next question is for you. KEC is involved in many metro construction projects in India. What challenges do you feel that KEC encounters in an urban space as compared to, say, for example, a greenfield project? And how is KEC tackling such problems?
Thank you, Harshita. Before I go, because we are, as a KEC International, we are present in having a footprint in more than 100 countries. In railway segment, we are primarily into the conventional railway with a lot of brownfield projects, which is a construction of new line multi-tracking, maybe around 1,200 kilometers, with lot of interface of the track, SNT and OHE during construction. And also into the urban segment with constructing around more than 55 kilometers of viaduct and system packages of ballastless track, power system, OHE. So normally if I say look into the market, how it will be my personal experience as well as the experience from the KEC, how the urban infra should move. First, when we decide the contract condition, maybe basically we let us start from the planning. When any metro is planned, whether the objective of the metro is the decongestion of the city. I'm coming to the point, madam, which you have asked me, specific to KEC. But when we plan for the specific for the decongestion, so after some time, it loses its viability. So objective of the metro is to whether to go for the decongestion or for the redevelopment of the area. Because in the long term, when these corridors, it is an infrastructure project which is going to last for more than 120, 150 years. And probably after some time, if it is not integrated with the master plan of the system or the urban area, probably it will lose its viability. And we are going to construct many diagonal lines and corridors having the interface at one point, and that station itself become congested after some time. So probably the Rajiv Chowk is something which is very wide, but for the other city where we are planning, probably it may have some different issues. As far as the design is concerned, lot of challenges are being faced in construction of this pile foundation, pile cap, because we are interfering with the public issues. So today it is a corridor which is given to 8 meters wide for the construction of the pile and the pile cap and then viaduct also. But my personal view is, as an industry, probably since we have not evolved with the machinery of that kind to go for the monopiles of a higher diameter, probably it will have a lesser footprint on the ground and make the public life easy while construction of the metro. Because in Bangalore, when we go, probably people are actually facing a lot of challenges with the construction of the traffic congestion and going added with the construction of the metros. As far as the contract conditions are concerned, there is a lot of issues still to be resolved because the condition of the contractor is still closed because of the agency who have been getting this project executed with a lot of learning. The contract conditions have become one-sided. And probably this is the time when there are certain area which is unknown. Nobody is known because the chartered utilities are generally being identified, but unchartered is a greenfield. And probably the lump sum amount is given and it has not been addressed properly and create a lot of contractual issues. Number two, probably which I can say is the price variation clause. So there are various segments, maybe civil, the electrical, maybe BLT. If say let us talk for the BLT, there are tenders initially were called with this free supply of rail and the fasting system. But when the other authorities have actually called for the tender, there is still the supply of the rail and the fasting has been added to the contractor scope, but the price variation is still not there. So, and the construction of the contracts are awarded when probably the civil work is also not awarded. Maybe the construction period may be 4 years, 5 years. Generally, most of the projects are coming with the 4 years of a construction period. And the price sensitivity kind of issues that being commodity, the kind of issue which is the commodity is imposing to the contractors now, which is very variable. If you go for the electrical system, the transformer, probably the auxiliary transformer, traction transformer, GIS, the price variation formula is governed by the WPI, Wholesale Price Index of the India, where the market is being governed by some different commodities of the international market. And the gap between the price variation of the WPI and the actual market is 176%. So how we will compensate for this? And that too, when the market is, you have to supply this equipment down the line of 2 years or 3 years of a period. And then the civil structure is still yet to be completed. So this is a problem. Number 3, probably which I can say, is the key dates. Key date or the milestone defined for some of the authority. I'm taking as a very general perception while working with the various metro authorities. The key dates are mentioned, but the key dates are still mentioned with that probably after this date you have a construction period of this much of month or this much of a time, where the key date is silent about when it will be given for the mobilization planning of the equipment resources, that is silent. So these are the typical issues which industry had to resolve. Number 3, probably which I can talk about is OEM. Because in the electrical system, the fasting, not for the civil viaduct or the underground tunneling I'm talking about, there the qualification is already mentioned for these equipment supplies. But when go to the contract execution, there is also the approved vendor list. So at the time of execution, at the time of supply, the question comes whether to follow the PQ or go with the approved vendor list and the defined criteria and the preferred vendor. So generally this has a commercial implication during the execution. Probably these are the basic anomalies which probably we can think of making the system as a corrective action which the authorities can look into from the contract perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you for enlightening us with all the challenges that the construction industry is facing. Mr. Siddharth, my next question is for you. WSP is executing many metro projects across the world. So what innovative solutions can be implemented in India in the metro sector to make the metro more affordable and viable?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So first of all, WSP is a global engineering consultancy and advisory firm. So recently we have been nominated as #1 by ANR in the engineering consultancy firm. We are based in more than 100 countries. So to be precise, I'm from the rail background, and luckily I have opportunities to work across the countries and with the clients in the UK, Europe, Middle East and US. And the one question which always comes, as you mentioned about the question, what new thing you can provide to the client to make it more cheaper, more viable, more sustainable for the future. And as a WSP, I think we have this strength to provide that consultancy and advisory to our client, whether it's a government client or contractors, whoever, to make it more profitable. One thing which I will say, that adoption of digital technology is the key. Like how we are giving thought process to our clients about using digital to its benefit is very important. Use of like iTwin model or digital twin or automation is very key, where you can visualize things, where you can see the things before it gets implemented or it gets started, and that really help to choose your option very wisely, and it's really helpful for our client to to look into their option which they want to execute. So we do it very, very precisely. Other thing, as in WSP, I can say that we are very good in understanding the requirement of future. So we are more proactive than reactive. So if we are talking about, like as Mr. Ashish mentioned, about life span of 120 years or 150 years for any infrastructure. So what that going to be in 40 years time, what the requirement of that infrastructure in the 40 years time, and how we can be future ready for that is very important. And all the client wants to know that in 50 years probably you might have Hyperloop coming to your station, you might have other things coming. So how we can integrate those things as well and make it more viable, rather than when the Hyperloop or something else, or flying taxis comes in, then you start planning again for those infrastructure that, okay, now I have to make certain changes to those station. I need to make it integrated again with high speed or whatever. So giving that thought process of being future ready is always key. So that they can think of that, like whatever the change is going to happen in the future around, in 10 years, 50 years, 20 years, that will be the key. And as Rajanji mentioned about COP27 and carbon and carbon emission. So that's where as a European countries or UK countries and an organization, we are looking into 2030 SDG, sustainable UN sustainable goals, where how we can provide that information or guidance to our client that can help to reduce their carbon emission, and to support them with the technology, what are the latest technology we can give, and the engineering input. And more or less, like most of the time we see that we reinvent wheel again and again in every project. How we can mitigate those reinventing the wheel again and again, how we can bring that automation in our system, which can take out all the inefficiency which are occurring. So that's where we are very good at it. And also, in terms of making it more viable, and in India is about operation and maintenance, how we can reduce the cost coming in operation and maintenance, what are the facility we can provide or options we can provide which can take those costing out from the maintenance operation. So those are the things which as a WSP and as a consultant we can give to our clients. Thank you.
I just want to supplement few things. See, you also asked about the viability, and what Mr. Siddharth is saying, that what we have forgotten is the basically use of the indigenous products and the competitions. These two things are lagging in basically in the metro constructions in the country. I will cite few examples. Let us take the HH rails which are being used for the various metro constructions. Now you just find out the kind of percentage of the HH rails which are imported and the rails which are manufactured in India, and the percentage, if you just see, more than 99% of the rails are imported. See, the technologies are there, we have got the manufacturing capacity, and I'm happy to share that in RVNL in Kolkata Metro, we were the first metro builders which use the indigenous rails manufactured by JSPL. A lot of protocols, rules, norms are there. We should relax that because we need to have the indigenous products. Then I will cite the examples of the platform screen doors. This is again a very costly affairs. Now, if you see the AMCs of this, the platform screen doors, this is enormous. And we are wasting and we are draining out our money for the basically manufacturers who are located outside India. We have signed an MOU with Bharat Electronics Limited, and my colleague Mr. Vinay Singh was here. And they have also signed an MOU with BL for the purpose of design of these kind of PSDs, platform screen doors. AFC gates, more than 90% of AFC gates are imported. Why don't we have the technology? We should manufacture here in India. We should have more and more competitions. Our aim should not be that we should only build and we should not develop the Make in India kind of products. So just I wanted to supplement to my previous questions and to supplement what Mr. Siddharth had said, that we need to have the indigenous products, more and more of indigenous products in our metro systems for making this metro construction more and more viable.
Thank you, sir. My next question was for you only. How is the typical railway infrastructure projects and metro projects different? What kind of benefits we get from urban infrastructure projects in terms of social and environmental gains? And what are the main challenges in metro projects with respect to the other railway infra projects? And what are the solutions suggested?
So, if I recall correctly, you have asked again 3-4 questions. First question is the difference between typical railway infrastructure projects and the metro projects in the urban environment. What do you understand by the meaning of project? Project means converting vision into the reality. And no two projects are identical. Every project is having its own life cycles. Every project is having its own challenges, resource mobilization. So the typical railway infrastructure projects and the metro projects are also different. Even in the metro segment, no two projects are similar. So there will always be difference in the projects. Now coming back to the question of the typical railway infrastructure projects and the metro projects, the first thing which comes to our mind is the urban environment. In typical metro projects, we have got the urban environment where there are some issues related to the safety of the road users, the traffic, whereas in the typical capacity augmentation project of the railways, we have got integration with the existing stations. That is a different kind of challenges, that we don't have to stop the traffic and then you have to continue and you have to commission the rail connectivity. So the challenges are different, and but the basic project concept, the project life cycle concept remains the same. So again, I will just summarize that in the typical metro projects, we have got the urban environment, busy road, the road traffic, and in a typical railway project, we are executing by the side of the existing track, and the integration and the interface with the existing station becomes more and more important. Now coming back to you asked another question about the benefit of the urban infrastructure projects. See, the benefit could be many. First is it is a very efficient way of transportation, number one. The energy consumption reduces by 1/5. See, what are the options available with us? We can have more, first will be the widening of the roads. Again, it is a matter which is basically availability of the land. The second is that we can have more and more of flyovers. Again, there will be some constraints of the land, and then when we construct the flyovers, then end-to-end solutions we don't get. We have got air pollution. You go to a city like Kolkata, you will have the pollution, the noise pollution will be to the level of 95, 97 or 100 decibels. The permitted is only 50. Then if you see the air pollution, Delhi or even in Calcutta or Chennai will have the SpO2 level more than 300 or 400. Permitted is 1/3 of this. So what I am saying is that when we have got the metro construction, we call it a grade separation system. In the grade separation system, even only during the construction period, if it is elevated, we require some space. But once the construction is over, then we require only a 2-meter dia piers on the center verge of the main the roads, and the rest of the area is free. And you have got the large number of commuters moving from one place to other. And if it is underground, then it is under the city, except in the ramp location where we have got by design some kind of obstructions. So what I want to tell you is that the metros are always better, efficient, and COP27 Mr. Siddharth was also mentioning, and again I supplement with this, that carbon emission, the efficient transport system. When you are traveling from one place to another place, if it takes 1 hour or 2 hours by road, by your own vehicle, by metro you can reach in 25 to 30 minutes. Your life will be longer because you will be traveling through the green environment, whereas if you are traveling by your own vehicles, the carbon emission will be of the level of 30 equivalent grams per passenger per kilometer, whereas in the metro it will be 10. So the carbon emission will be 1/3. So there is a lot of benefits. There are some social gains which we get if we travel through the metro system.
Thank you, sir. We have a very limited time remaining. I just wanted to ask one question to each of you. I would request you keep your answers short. Mr. Ashish, India is coming up with a lot of new broad gauge metro system, where the tracks laid down by the Indian government can be upgraded to be used as the metro tracks. Bangalore is one of the cities where the suburban project has been implemented. What do you think of the future of this suburban metro project?
The basic concept of bringing the broad gauge metro system is to reduce the price, either by the technology or by the rolling stock or by the making it at grade, which is happening in the Bangalore metro because some of the portion is basically up, down at grade. But the issue today is not the cost effectiveness. If the urban area has a different issue, long distance rail has a different issue. Urban area people want to feel that they are connected with the other part of area which is get separated by the suburban rail, making it at grade. But in terms of reduction of the cost, probably the element of the rolling stock and the track probably component being very high in metro system is not going to affect much because most of the structure is elevated. But whatever the green energy sustainability, what we are talking about is also the mission, one of the agenda of the Indian Railway is to mission 3,000 million ton transportation, because the railway transportation cost, as we know, it is very high. And bringing it, as Madam has mentioned in the bounding session, that first session, previous session, that it is around 60-70% is being transported through road. And taking it to the railway, it will make much cheaper. Transportation costs of road rail is much cheaper, and make our industry more viable in terms of cost and for the export, and also the kind of fuel energy cost that we are paying in the dollars probably may get reduced. So making seamless transport of long distance travel through the suburban of the broad gauge, that is the only thing which can help in reducing. Otherwise, I don't think in terms of technology or in terms of what is the mass transport system, probably it is the MRTS. Probably what we need to think, whether for the metro cities and for the B class, C class city, whether we need metro or to go with the light rail system, or because of the technology, GMSR, LTE technology, probably the multimodal corridor can be used, because the metro is being constructed today with the based on the survey data, as Mr. Rajesh Prasad has mentioned. But when we go for the decongestion, this data is not available. So without this data, you cannot prove the financial or the economic viability of the project, and because of that, these projects are not getting sanctioned. So probably things are related actually. So making it viable for one corridor which is consistent, the other corridor, the buses and the other things, public transport can also be taken over the same corridor, because headway is very less, probably because of the traffic condition. So with these technologies available, probably it is a new concept I'm putting in the forum, probably has not been implemented, but it is a thought, probably because of the other transportation system, lateral corridor, because we are trying to integrate with the various systems. It can come directly on the corridor and run on the congested area. With the technology available, this safety is not an issue, and it can be taken over. So in brief, madam, this is my personal view. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Mr. Siddharth, my last question for the session is for you. Some of the metro systems in India are incurring losses and have not been able to break even after the construction once they're operational. What can be done to make the metro system, the metro ecosystem, more sustainable and affordable at the same time to the general public?
No, thank you. That's a good question. So my first answer will be short, is that do we need metro in that city? So I think first we need to explore that is that metro, like Ashish mentioned, like is the metro is the feasible answer to the solution for that particular city. So if that is not, then why we can't improve the existing infrastructure which is there, rather than going for something new. Now coming to the next question, if that city definitely required a metro system, then yes, how we can make it a break even, improving the ridership, footfall is one of the option, but it cannot, make it break even. So what we need to do is to look into how we can reduce the construction, operation and maintenance cost. That is very, very important, and how we can do that, as I have touched base on my previous answer, use of the latest technology. If you can do that, I think that can solve lots of problem, and as Ranji mentioned about using the indigenous substance or materials procured in India itself, the latest technology like in-cab signals, where you don't have to require infrastructure like signals and all those things, which can reduce the heavily. And then also looking into the future requirement, where we are looking for that. And we talked since morning about the last mile connectivity. I will say that we also need to look about the first mile connectivity, how we can get people to the metro system or that model central place, and how we can do that. I think we already discussed lots of things about improving our bus service, our roads, our other transport means. So it's not only about the last mile connectivity, it's also about the first and last mile connectivity. So with that, I will end my answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Siddharth. That brings us to end of our session. Thank you all the panelists for giving such insightful answers to the urban infra ecosystem, and the audience for joining us today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very extremely sorry we had to cut short the panel discussion because we are running out of time. And of course, participants, if you have any questions, our panelists will be with us. You may kindly connect to them one-to-one. And on that note, may I invite Ms. Himani Gupta, Vice President Marketing, Urban Infra Group, to kindly do the honors of presenting mementos as a token of gratitude and appreciation to all our eminent panelists. We present to Mr. Rajesh Prasad, Director Operations, Rail Vikas Nigam Limited. Thank you, sir. We present to Mr. Ashish Singh, Vice President, Business Development and Marketing, KEC International. Thank you, sir, for your participation. We present to Mr. Siddharth Jha, Head Rail India, WSP Global. Thank you, sir. And to our moderator, Ms. Harshita Jain, Director CEG Limited. Thank you very much indeed, ma'am, for wonderfully moderating that session. Thank you, Ms. Himani, for doing the honors. And we now close the proceedings of this session, requesting our panel for a group photograph. Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, let's once again put our hands together for the eminent panel. And moving on for the next presentation, which is on modernization of Indian Railway Station, a big opportunity for investors. I'd like to invite Mr. Vinod Kumar, General Manager Business